years 1944 to 1945, World War II was nearing its conclusion as the Allied forces and the Axis powers clashed fiercely on multiple fronts. On the Western Front, the Allies, led by the United States, launched the largest military amphibious operation in history at the beaches of Normandy, France. While the operation resulted in a resounding victory and drove the Nazis out of the region, it came at an enormous cost. Over 100,000 Allied soldiers lost their lives, including 3 of the 4 Ryan brothers. Upon learning of this tragedy, General Mason ordered Captain Miller and his team to undertake a special mission: find and bring home the youngest Ryan brother, James Ryan, safely. Amid the chaos of a vast and fiery battlefield, Captain Miller's team must overcome countless challenges. Will they locate James Ryan amidst the horrors of war? What will become of Ryan and the men tasked with rescuing him? All will be revealed in the iconic film Saving Private Ryan, a masterpiece of war, courage, and camaraderie. Embark on this gripping and emotional journey now. June 6, 1944, the historic Allied invasion of the beaches of Normandy, France, marked a pivotal turning point in World War II. Hundreds of thousands of Allied soldiers stormed ashore simultaneously, tasked with breaking through the heavily fortified defenses of Nazi Germany. Among them was Captain John H. Miller's unit from the U.S. 1st Infantry Division, part of the spearheading forces. Initially, the operation seemed to proceed smoothly, with several beaches quickly falling under Allied control. However, at Omaha Beach, the Allied forces faced fierce resistance from German troops entrenched in fortified positions. The 1st Infantry Division was nearly immobilized, American soldiers falling en masse in the blood-soaked sand. No one could advance. Amid this chaos, Captain Miller took the bold decision to lead a group of soldiers on the rest of the charge to break the stalemate. Braving relentless gunfire, Miller and his men managed to push forward and report back to Allied positions. Omaha Beach remains unopened. Heavy losses sustained. No tanks or armored vehicles have made it ashore. Recognizing the strategic importance of Omaha, Captain Miller gathered every remaining soldier for an all-out assault on the German defensive position. After countless efforts, his unit finally broke through the greatest obstacle to advancing inland. Wasting no time, Miller launched an immediate attack on the main bunker. However, the German troops, with their superior terrain advantage, retaliated fiercely. Using a shard of broken mirror, Miller pinpointed the location of the enemy's machine gun nest and ordered suppressive fire while his men advanced in small groups. It wasn't until the unit's expert sniper intervened that the German defenses finally fell. Omaha Beach was finally secured, thousands of Allied soldiers surged forward, clearing out the remaining German forces. For those Germans who surrendered late, they faced the fury of American troops who had endured horrific losses. Some German soldiers, including conscripts forced to fight, were summarily executed as frustrations boiled over. As the battlefield calmed, Captain Miller reported to Allied command that Omaha Beach was secured and urgently requested reinforcements and heavy weaponry to move inland. His team was granted a brief respite. Many soldiers, moved by the experience, collected handfuls of sand as mementos of the battle, a place that had become synonymous with devastation and sacrifice. The cost of victory was staggering. Over 29,000 American soldiers had died, with more than 100,000 wounded or incapacitated, including 3 of the 4 Ryan brothers. News of their deaths quickly reached Washington. The commander of the 29th Infantry Division confirmed that only the youngest, Private James Ryan, was unaccounted for. A report was sent to General Mason, who, upon reading it, was deeply moved. He immediately ordered a team to search for Ryan and bring him home safely. The mission was assigned to Captain Miller's unit. Without hesitation, Miller accepted. His team was soon joined by Private Upham, a young interpreter who had never seen combat. Though inexperienced, Upham was told to leave behind unnecessary items and carry only his rifle and helmet, ready to face one of the most challenging missions of the war. As planned, Captain Miller and his team, composed of Jackson, Ribon, Mellish, Their destination was the 101st Airborne Division, believed to be where Private James Ryan was stationed. After traveling through relentless rain, the team arrived at a small village on the outskirts of Newville. There, they inquired about Ryan's whereabouts, but the response was the same. We don't know. The unit in the village had also been cut off from others, leaving them unable to provide precise information. Without any new leads, Captain Miller and his team pressed on, navigating through rows of abandoned houses that could potentially be hiding German ambushes. Despite the danger, they knew that hesitation could mean death. As they moved forward, an unexpected event unfolded. A terrified French family, desperate to save their child, thrust the baby into the arms of Miller's team. For Caparzo, moved by the child's helplessness, decided to take the baby in his arms. Seeing this, Captain Miller shouted, "Caparzo, are you crazy? We can't take the child. Give it back right now." Before the words had fully left his mouth, a gunshot rang out. Caparzo fell to the ground, struck by a German sniper. Realizing the danger, Miller immediately ordered Jackson, the team's sharpshooter, to locate and eliminate the enemy. Within moments, Jackson found the sniper's position. The German soldier barely had time to react before a single, precise shot ended his life. Unfortunately, Caparzo's wound was too severe. He succumbed to blood loss shortly after. His comrades buried him on the spot before moving on, their resolve hardened by the loss. Later, the team stopped at a house to rest, only for an accidental collapse of the wall to reveal a hidden group of German soldiers. Weapons were drawn instantly. Both sides stared each other down, fingers on triggers, daring the other to lower their guns first. "If you're so brave, put your guns down first," one side taunted. "Us? You're the ones who should drop them." The tension was thick, and a bloody battle seemed inevitable, until a hail of bullets from above swiftly wiped out the German troops. The surprise attack came from an unexpected ally, a reconnaissance unit from the 101st Airborne Division, led by its commander, who was the very officer Miller had been searching for. Seizing the opportunity, Miller asked about Ryan's location. The officer confirmed, "Ryan is here." Half an hour later, Miller's team was escorted to the division's base, where the man believed to be James Ryan was brought forward. Seeing him, Miller said solemnly, "Ryan, we have bad news. All 3 of your brothers have been killed in action." The young man broke into tears. "All my brothers gone? Where did they die?" Miller replied, "In the Battle of Normandy." Shocked, the man sobbed uncontrollably and exclaimed, "That can't be. My brothers are still in high school." It was then that Miller realized the tragic mistake. The man in front of him was not James Francis Ryan, but a different James Ryan altogether. The grief-stricken young man had shed tears in vain. Exactly as planned, Captain Miller and his team, Jackson, Reben, Mellish, Caparzo, and Upham, continued their journey. Their next stop was a U.S. outpost deep in the region of Newville, where they hoped to find more information about Private Ryan. Splitting up, the team scoured the base, questioning every soldier they encountered. Initially, it seemed like another dead end, but then Miller overheard a soldier mention that Ryan might be at a place called Ramel. This glimmer of hope revitalized the team, and they set out immediately. On their way to Ramel, the team encountered a German machine gun nest that had previously ambushed American troops. Unable to ignore the threat, Miller decided they needed to eliminate it to clear the path for future Allied forces. Lightening their load for speed and agility, the team carried only essential weapons and ammunition. Through a daring plan, they successfully destroyed the machine gun nest, but the victory came at a cost. Private Wade was critically wounded during the assault and died shortly after. The loss of Wade enraged the team. They captured a German soldier from the nest, and tensions ran high as they debated whether to execute him. The German begged for his life, and Upham, understanding his pleas, argued that killing a prisoner was against the rules of war. Against expectations, Captain Miller ordered the prisoner's release, blindfolding him and letting him go. This decision sparked heated dissent, particularly from Ribben, who confronted Miller directly. Why did you let him go? Why are we risking our lives for this pointless mission? Calmly, Miller replied, I don't care who Ryan is. I just know that once we find him, I can finally go home. With that, Miller walked away. Feeling remorseful, Rybin later joined the rest of the team to bury Wade. The next morning, the team finally located Private James Ryan on their way to Ramelle. Despite the picturesque scenery of the French countryside, the soldiers were in no mood to admire it. Suddenly, Miller spotted movement in the distance, a German reconnaissance vehicle. He ordered his men to take cover immediately. As the vehicle approached, an ambush erupted, and the team worked in seamless coordination to eliminate the enemy. When they reached Ramelle, Miller approached Ryan and said solemnly, We've been looking for you. Prepare yourself for what I'm about to tell you. 3 of your brothers have been killed in action during the Normandy invasion. General Mason has issued an order for you to return home. However, Ryan's reaction was unexpected. Instead of relief, he responded with firm resolve. I'm not going home. I can't abandon my brothers here. I won't be a coward. Moved by Ryan's determination, Miller decided to stay with his team and help defend Ramelle alongside Ryan's unit. Yet, the situation was grim. Supplies were running low, there was no heavy artillery, and they faced what seemed like an impossible task. Miller quickly devised a strategy. We need to divide their forces and hit their flanks. That's our best chance. Use everything we have. Every bullet counts. Precision is key. He ordered the placement of 2 .30 caliber machine guns, one at ground level and the other in the church tower to provide overwatch. When asked how they would deal with the German tanks, Miller suggested a creative solution. We'll immobilize their treads with sticky bombs. All we need is TNT or any explosive material, pack it into a sock, and light it with axle grease. Though it meant sacrificing their socks, the team agreed to the plan. As a final contingency, Miller ordered explosives rigged on the bridge. If all else failed, they would destroy the bridge and retreat. With the preparations complete, the soldiers spent the remaining moments of calm, reflecting on the purpose of the war and sharing their favorite stories from home. It was a fleeting moment of peace before the storm they knew was coming. The moment of reprieve was brief. Just as the soldiers finished sharing their stories, the sound of approaching German forces shattered the quiet. Jackson, the team's sharpshooter, spotted over 50 infantrymen, 2 self-propelled guns, and 2 massive Tiger tanks advancing toward their position. The American defenders quickly scrambled into action, taking their designated positions. A decoy jeep was sent forward to lure the German forces into the carefully laid trap. The Germans, enticed by the bait, advanced without hesitation. Confident in their superior firepower and modern weaponry, they were unaware of the disaster awaiting them. As the German forces moved within range, Miller's team detonated their explosives, initiating one of the bloodiest confrontations of the battle. The ambush caught the Germans completely off guard. Tanks were immobilized, self-propelled guns destroyed, and infantry scattered in chaos as they were struck from multiple directions. From the church tower, Jackson directed his teammates, pointing out German infantry positions. Below, Captain Miller and his men fought fiercely, evading the Tigers' devastating cannon fire while moving strategically. Using sticky bombs, Miller and his team disabled a Tiger tank by destroying its treads. However, the success was short-lived. Reinforcements from the Germans arrived swiftly, and the tide of battle began to turn. As the Germans regained their footing, the Americans were overwhelmed. Many soldiers fell, their ammunition running low. Despite their best efforts, Miller's men could not hold their position. In a devastating moment, 2 of Miller's machine guns were destroyed, a direct consequence of Upham's paralyzing fear, which left him unable to provide cover fire. The situation grew desperate. German forces surged forward, crushing the remaining American defenses. Some of Miller's team resorted to suicide attacks, sacrificing themselves to destroy it or take out a few enemy soldiers. Captain Miller, out of options, ordered the final contingency plan: blow up the bridge to halt the German advance. The Germans, realizing the Americans' intentions, launched a relentless assault to thwart their efforts. Miller, exhausted but resolute, fought to the last breath. In a tragic switch, Just as he prepared to detonate the bridge,
got the win.
he was shot by none other than the German prisoner he had spared earlier. Fatally wounded, Miller used his last strength to fire his pistol at an advancing Tiger tank in a futile effort to slow it down. It seemed the end was inevitable when suddenly, salvation arrived. From the skies, a P-51 Mustang fighter plane swooped in, destroying the Tiger tank in a fiery explosion. Germans, overwhelmed by the aerial assault, abandoned their advance and retreated in chaos. Nearby, Upham, finally overcoming his fear, intercepted and killed the German prisoner who had betrayed Miller. It was a bittersweet moment of vengeance, but the damage had been done. Captain Miller's team had endured immeasurable losses, and as Captain Miller lay dying on the battlefield, he gazed at the victorious Allied forces advancing, a faint smile of fulfillment crossing his face. Summoning his remaining strength, he turned to Ryan and whispered his final words, "Earn this. Live for us. Live a life that makes our sacrifice worthwhile." Moments later, the captain succumbed to his wounds, leaving behind a legacy of courage and sacrifice. In the end, only 3 of Miller's team survived: Upham, Reiben, and Ryan. The others had all fallen in the line of duty. Many years later, an elderly James Ryan visited the gravesite of Captain Miller in Normandy. Standing before the captain's headstone, Ryan, overwhelmed with emotion, turned to his wife and asked, "Have I been a good man? Have I lived a life worthy of their sacrifice?" His wife replied, "Yes, you have." And so the story concludes, a poignant portrayal of the horrors of war and the immeasurable sacrifices made by soldiers to secure peace. Saving Private Ryan vividly captures the brutal reality, reminding us that war is not a game played by beautiful words. It is paid for in blood, sweat, and lives of those who fight to protect their nations. Let this film serve as a reminder, especially to younger generations, to cherish the peace we enjoy today. It was hard-earned through the sacrifices of countless brave individuals. Let us honor their legacy, striving to build a future that upholds their values and protects the freedoms they fought to secure.